a decent day this morning. So I have one more not necessarily a politics show, even though it is somewhat of a politics thing. Rachel Maddow. I had a conversation with my wife. This goes back maybe a few days ago. And I asked her, I said, the Mueller report just came out. What do you think those people are going to do that push this notion of Trump colluding with the Russian, and that Trump is some kind of Russian agent or some kind of Russian asset? She says they're just going to keep going. They're not going to stop. Like, if they were already going within this idea of a delusion, why on earth would they stop the delusion? Reality would not be an impediment to whatever they're trying to push in regards to a narrative. That turns out to be somewhat right. I asked this question because...
And here's the question.
Whoa. Well, that's strange. Oh, all right. We just have to watch it this way. All right. So I asked this basic question. What is the point of media? Now, I don't mean this in this kind of specific way, like CNN does this or this. I mean in this kind of overwhelming sense of what the point is. Now, I can't be in Pakistan. I don't even know if I want to be in Pakistan. I can't be in France when the yellow vests are doing anything. There are all sorts of things that take place around the world that may have some impact on the way I live my life, even if it's just conceptual, meaning I just want to know. I can't be there. And so this idea of media gives you this perspective of events that are taking place, hopefully, that lines some degree up with reality. Meaning, I recognize that nobody can get it exactly right because there are various perspectives and we're awash of perspectives. And so you can only get it to what's true about the situation. And yeah, even trying to get what's true delves in regards to perspectives, but you try to get it as true as you can possibly get it, knowing that you can't get it exactly right. The whole point of media is to try to give people some semblance of reality in the various places around the globe, even in their own space. Even with this idea of holding politics or politicians accountable, the accountability here is with honesty. This is more true as opposed to what they're trying to tell you is true as some kind of narrative. What happens when that thing that is supposed to give you truth has a natural incentive, either political or financial, to tweak that somewhat? Meaning what they're giving you is not truth in this kind of absolute sense, since truth in absolute sense doesn't count. But it's not even truth in the sense of what is more likely right. It's tweaked and incentivized truth. I would say you get someone who looks like Rachel Maddow. I would say mainstream media as a whole tilted in this direction, going with this idea of the Trump and Russia collusion or conspiracy. But Maddow is a very specific case, because in Maddow's case, her ratings jumped when she jumped on this collusion bandwagon. And, it's this thing of, it didn't matter what the information was. She had a very specific narrative. So, A, she gets the rating boost, but also, let's be very clear, MSNBC is just a media arm of the Democratic Party. And so from a political angle, it also adds it as an attack piece for Trump. What happens when you get it magnificently wrong? And when you're looking back on it, you realize that there were incentives that pushed you in a direction to get it magnificently wrong. What do? Do you go on your show when objectively true information comes out, meaning the Mueller report comes out and says, look, there's no collusion here. You want to call him corrupt, fair enough, but he didn't collude to get elected. And yet, that was your central thesis, that the president of the United States was a foreign agent, that Vladimir Putin was giving him orders, that he was this kind of animatronic robot, that Vladimir Putin in any day was going to ride on New York's harbor on a bear, ripping his shirt off, with Donald Trump there to greet him, saying, welcome to America, and kneels on one knee, and Vladimir Putin assumes control of the United States. What do you do when you spend 2 years doing that? And just to take a look, because I want you to see it for yourself. This is the Intercept. Aaron Matei put this together. Right here. I'm trying to enlarge this, but it's not letting me enlarge the screen. Yeah, it's not letting me enlarge this. So, I'm just going to play it from here.
president going to take those troops out? In Russia, Russia, of whether or not Russia had help, whether they had Confederates inside the Trump campaign when they launched this attack. But every day I lead my show, and I think I'm going to be talking about something else. But every day over the course of the news cycle, a new piece of it falls in place.
Is it me? She seems like she's losing it. Like, that clip, like, look right here.
Confederates inside the Trump campaign when they launched this attack. But every day I lead my show, and I think I'm going to be talking about something else. But every day over the course of the news cycle, a new piece of it falls in place. We're about to find out if the new president of...
She seems like she is losing it. I'm sorry, that last clip looks like she was having a really bad day. You know, she was coming unhinged. Let's start from the beginning. I'm going to just let it play out. But at just very basic point, this is what was taking place over the course of the last 2 years. This article was written back in 2017, so this was just up until 2017. So let's let it finish.
And here's the question. Is the new president going to take those troops out? In Russia, Russia, of whether or not Russia had help, whether they had Confederates inside the Trump campaign when they launched this attack. But every day I lead my show, and I think I'm going to be talking about something else. But every day over the course of the news cycle, a new piece of it falls in place. We're about to find out if the new president of our country is going to do what Russia wants. If the presidency is effectively a Russian op, right? If the American presidency right now is the product of collusion between the Russian intelligence services and an American campaign, I mean, that is so profoundly big. This is not part of American politics. This is not, partisan warfare between Republicans and Democrats. This is international warfare against our country.
If you don't think that it's problematic that the leading liberal on TV, on MSNBC, meaning the person who gets the ear of the Democratic Party, the person who the lefties, or you could say Democratic lefties, look to night after night after night. In this case, they were looking to him because they were terrified of Donald Trump, and they wanted their, the organizer of thought within the Democratic Party, and gets on her broadcast and says that this is international politics, where we're at war, that they've committed almost this kind of attack on the United States itself, and night after night after night makes this case, demonizing Russia as if they somehow usurped the election for Hillary Clinton, and doing so working with Donald Trump. And not just working with Donald Trump, that Donald Trump is the lesser party in this. like Putin is this kind of king, and Donald Trump is a viceroy of America. Like, some of the stuff that she's been putting out for the last 2.5, 3 years has been problematic. And just to put it in perspective, the Intercept conducted a quantitative study of all 28 the Rachel Maddow episodes in a 6-week period between February 20th and March 31st. Russia-focused segments accounted for 53% of the broadcast. Maddow's coverage has dwarfed the time devoted to other topics. Trump's escalating crackdown on undocumented immigrants, 1.3% coverage. Obamacare repeal, 3.8% coverage. The legal battle between Trump's Muslim ban, 5.6% of the coverage. The surge of anti-GOP activism in town halls, 5.8% of the coverage. Trump's administration scandals and stumbles, 11%. Russia dwarfed everything else. And we now find out that it was malarkey. Does Rachel Maddow come on her show after the Mueller report and say, look, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. I honestly thought that there was a link between Trump and Russia. I thought this. It wasn't me being disingenuous. It wasn't because of the ratings. It wasn't because of my political affiliation. I just, as a human being, looked at this information and just thought that the President of the United States was working with the Russian government. I could not conceive of him getting elected any other way. She didn't say that at all. Rachel Maddow goes further into the conspiracy. And just to be very clear, there have been some people who have come out and said that. Michael Isikoff wrote the book on Trump-Russia stuff. Literally. He literally wrote a book on Trump-Russia collusion. And even he backs away from this. Look at this.
That said, and I agree with everything David said, except that the dossier did set expectations, and it did shape what people were looking for, what they thought might have happened. It was endorsed on multiple times on this network, people saying it's more and more proving to be true, and it wasn't. And in fact, I think one of the reasons people were so surprised by the Mueller finding is that it undercuts almost everything that was in the dossier, which...
That's honest! That's honest! Oh, how that feels when it hits the ear and it's like, wow, that guy's being honest. You know, the wild part about this is the dossier that they're talking about, that was being undercut, was paid for by the opposition. And they're looking at something that was paid for by the opposition, mind you, foreign agent, but nobody cares about that. Paid for by the opposition, and they're shocked to shit that a political document that was being used in order to create a federal case against the president of the United States for working with a foreign government, they're shocked to shit that that document is false. We're shocked that it's false. Donald Trump peed on somebody. Oh my God, we're shocked that it's false. Amazing. But no, Rachel Maddow doesn't pull the Isikoff and backs away from it. Rachel Maddow goes further into the conspiracy. So let's take a look at this. This is Maddow going further.
Reportedly not recommending one way or the other whether Trump should be prosecuted for obstruction of justice crimes. We are about to have here on set a former very senior national security official who was involved in the early stages of this matter within the Justice Department. He is here tonight because he has some things he has to say, some things he wants to say about this part of what William Barr is doing here and how this investigation is resolving. So I'm eager to talk to him. Before we bring him on, though, I just want to lay out a few more of these questions from what William Barr has just done. A few more questions that are kind of driving me nuts. Number 5. What does it mean when Barr says he had to consult with the Office of Legal Counsel at the Justice Department before he made this declaration about President Trump not committing any crimes when it came to obstruction of justice? Office of Legal Counsel is like the lawyer's office for the Justice Department. They deal with big policy issues for the Justice Department and big, difficult, complicated legal issues that might not otherwise.
She's not stopping. She's going further. I mean, she has, 15 of these questions? Let's see. I would find another one. What's number 6?
And the leadership of the intelligence committees when it comes to Mueller's findings. What are they going to get? I mean, remember, this was partly a criminal investigation by Robert Mueller, but it was partly a counterintelligence investigation, too. Does the counterintelligence investigation, the counterintelligence part of what Mueller looked into?
Look, I don't have any issue with people having questions about the Mueller report. Fair enough, and I would imagine at some point the report is going to be released. But shouldn't you, on day one, after that report, come to account? Shouldn't there be some, my bad, we got this part wrong. There are further questions about the report, but we got this magnificently, completely, for 3 years of your life, wrong. Here's the thing. Apparently, Mueller and Barr are friends. Do we honestly believe, under normal circumstances, when BuzzFeed put out that report saying that Donald Trump pushed Cohen to testify, to lie to Congress, Mueller comes out, at least sends somebody that says, no, that's not true. Meaning, he was concerned about how his case was being characterized, or how his report was being characterized. Do we honestly believe that Barr could put something out that's false, that Mueller or somebody associated with him wouldn't come out to say, this is bogus? And just so we're very clear on this, I pulled up the report. I read this the other day. And whatever Rachel Maddow is going to say here, the key finding here that goes against what she's been saying those last few years, damn, it's moved. All right. So right here, Russia interference, special counsel's report, right. All right. The report further explains that a primary consideration for the special counsel investigation was whether any Americans, including individuals associated with the Trump campaign, joined the Russia conspiracy to influence the election, which would be a federal crime. The special counsel's investigation did not find that the Trump campaign or anyone associated with conspired or coordinated with Russia in its efforts to influence the 2016 election. As the report states, the investigation did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in its election interference activities. That's black and white. That's not, like, you can make the case that Russia interfered. And, you know, for the most part, Mueller goes with this idea that Russia interfered with the election. But there should be something of, my bad for calling you a Russian agent. My bad for saying that you were working in a coordinated plot with Vladimir Putin to undercut America. My bad for getting this so magnificently wrong. My bad for dedicating 3 years of my show to something that was a complete and entire conspiracy theory. My bad. Doesn't some level of journalistic credibility starts with a my bad? We fucked up for the last 3 years. It's not even the Trump corruption stuff bothers me so much because I can believe that Trump is corrupt. That doesn't shock me in the least. It's this thought that the president of the United States was a foreign agent. And the secondary question of whether or not you took that very particular perspective because it was filling your coffers, and that it was politically advantageous for you to take that position, which both are antagonistic towards this idea of you being a media personality where the goal and the ultimate job is to get across some level of reality. And in this case, you were doing the opposite. No, Rachel Maddow has not come to account for her sins. Rachel Maddow has gone further into the conspiracy. Meditating Jesus. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Ray Foley, please cover No to NATO in April. Come if you can. It's going to be in Chicago. We're looking for conferences to go to. So that might be an interesting one. I know the Left Forum is coming up. I even want to cover a UFO conference. So there are a few that I want to go to. And let me make sure I'm not missing anything. But yeah, she's not stopping. MSNBC, for the most part, has just tweaked and changed and kept going. And, you know, you can understand why. Their audience doesn't care. I mean, granted, their audience was fully into the, you know, we must wait for the Mueller report. We must wait for the Mueller report. But now that the Mueller report is out and it does not fulfill their illusions, now it's, we don't care what's in the Mueller report. We have eyes. And our eyes will tell us of what's true. And in this case, they full well believe that there's still something going on. But they believe it only because of the hysteria that was pumped out by people like Maddow. You can believe Trump is corrupt. You can point to the corruption. You can look at the emollients clause and say, hey, there's something sketchy here. It looks like Donald Trump is profiting from his presidency. You can do all that stuff. You can look at what he's doing from the standpoint of policy. The shutting the government down in and of itself is grotesque. And I would even question whether it's constitutional for the president to shut down the government for his own political ambitions. But those aren't arguments that are being made. Those aren't arguments that are mostly being made. The Trump and Russia's thing has overshadowed everything in our politics for the last 3 years. And we've been told from the beginning, we must wait for the Mueller report. We must wait for the Mueller report. We must wait for the Mueller report. Now that the Mueller report is here, we don't care what's in the Mueller report. We don't care. All right, I'll end this here. If you guys enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support the PayPal or Patreon. I will see you guys in a few. I have a set of shows for today. Thanks all. And